Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the SPA Delhi interview guidance session. I'm sure most of you are either on your way to Delhi or have reached Delhi because we have our interviews beginning from tomorrow. So, in this session today, we are going to have an interactive discussion with students who are currently pursuing their masters from SPA Delhi and have also gone through this process of the interview. So, if I will just give you a brief, I hope you know that there are 10 courses, total of 276 seats for the programs. And starting right from tomorrow, 15th of April till 19th of April, depending on various branches, they have their interviews which will be conducted. So, as far as today's session goes, we will be having a few questions, what we will be discussing with the students, which I would request them to answer one by one. And then towards the end of the session, whatever doubts you have, you could ask them. Also, in case if anybody would like to volunteer for a mock interview, that is also more than welcome. So we have Madhusudan from Conservation Department. We have Niharika from the Industrial Design Department. We have Sharan from Urban Design Department. We have Vishwas Patil from the Urban Planning Department. We have a few more students who will be joining us shortly. Till then, I think let us begin with the session. So welcome to all the students who are going to help us today. I would request everybody to switch on their cameras if that's possible. Yes. So moving forward, we had a few questions from various students also. What is the written test? What kind of questions are asked? So anybody, Sharan, would you like to start with that? You're on mute, Sharan.
Okay, hello.
Yes.
So I am from Urban Design Department. For our department, there is no written test uh, as per last year. We have direct interview. We need to bring all our portfolios and things, and based on that, we have an interview. For interview, basic questions are more based on our work only. All the work that we produce, we need to have thorough knowledge of whatever we are producing. So, first advice would be to go through all the works that is there in our portfolio. It might happen that those project we have done 2 or 3 years back. So at times things go out of our mind. So it's better we once revise those things because questions can be integrate. Matlab, anything very minute things also they may ask, and we need to know those things. First of all, this. Secondly, questions can be based on the cities we come from or the cities we have left. We have been, for example, I am from Varanasi. So questions were put up based on the current developments of Varanasi and things. And basically, they want to know your temperament. For example, if you are from urban design, they want to know what's your stand on the current development projects. What are your critical analysis? They do not expect you to be very technical in your observations, but still you need to have your observation. Yes, this is what I think, and they do not require any kind of technical uh, terms that because those things would be taught in next 2 years. So basic thing is they want to check whether you are really wanting to join the department or not. First thing, do you have that capability in terms of your bachelor's work? Also, for example, most of the masters are such that you won't have much work done in your bachelor's. For example, for urban design also you may have a semester where you have done your studio as urban design. So it's not the case that you have to have a lot of urban design work for joining that department. They basically see they have been taking these interviews for last 20 to 25 years. They are all very experienced and they understand even uh, they understand everything once you speak also. How much do you have that thing in you or not? So basically they check this, and it's not very strict or something. It's very matlab, it's critical. Obviously they would try to uh, we critical during interview. For example, suppose you put a project of housing or something, they may say, see, this is not the best option, or you should have done, why did you not try this way or something. So you need to defend your case and it's also very okay to being wrong. Yes, see, as per my knowledge that time I did this. So you need to present your case wisely. You should not argue, okay, because that shows you a bad impression of your nature. And present your case. You may be wrong, and there have been cases where they ask few questions. For example, suppose one of our batchmate did a project of Howrah riverfront work. So he was being asked, when was Howrah bridge built? He did not knew, and it's not important also for you to know that date. If you know, that's good. He told a wrong answer or something, but it did not matter. He is here and he is doing very well. So they tried to check all those things. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Sharan. We'll move on with Niharika for the Industrial Design Department.
Hi everyone. So I'm from industrial design, and so we had a written test for industrial design, but in my experience, it doesn't matter much as long as you perform well in your interview. I will answer how the interview is in the interview question when the host asks us, but in the written test, the advice from my side would be attempt all the questions. Mostly questions are about sketching and because industrial design is about products and UX UI. So the questions are based on product design or some interface design that you might get. My advice would be to just attempt all the questions, make good sketches. They just glance through your test when you are giving the interview, but it doesn't hold much value as compared to the interview. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Niharika. Madhusudan, how is it for conservation? You're not audible. Just no, no, you're not. Yes. We- Can you just reconnect the audio, maybe? Okay, till then we'll move on to Vishwas for urban planning and then come back to Madhusudan for conservation.
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes, Madhusudan.
Okay, yeah, then yeah, I'll continue. As Sharon mentioned, that even conservation department does not have a written test as such. There are only the interview questions that are there, and all that he already answered most of the points. What I'll add on to that is generally there are 3 to 4 experts in the interview panel that are there. Generally, two means two of them at least will be belonging to the same field which you are needed to be interviewed for. Like if it's conservation, two will be at least the conservation architects, and one will be from the third perspective, from a BR's background or from some planning department, other planning expertise would be there, so that a little bit more wider perspective can be put into the interview panel. So before going, you should at least, because SPA Delhi is not every department has only a few faculties which are the core faculty experts, and besides that everybody else is generally visiting faculties who come to teach us. So if in the interviewing panel, generally it's the core faculty who's sitting there. At least two of them I found are generally there. So you should students are generally able to know about who is going to be interviewing. Means at least have an idea, because there are only 3 to 4 people. If you are able to get an idea of which type of conservation architects is going to be sitting in the panel, and you already know a little bit about what the department is like, you should do a little bit of background research before coming into an interview, so that or watch a few videos, because these faculties have been there available on YouTube, online, and many different presentations. You know what their tone is like, you know how they speak. You don't feel the fear factor of being present in the interview, because for many students generally it's the first interview of their life, whoever is being present here. So nervousness is expected, which is normal. But generally, if you have an idea of exactly what to expect and what kind of people are going to be there, so you feel more confident, And also, one suggestion that the portfolios, practice them, know whatever is there inside the portfolio, and also practice them while keeping them inverted. Like the portfolio will be facing the interviewers, and you might get confused because there is a lot of data on the portfolio and you don't know where exactly what was, and you get confused. So I am not unable to find whatever I want to explain. In that glitch of a moment, that hesitation comes in, and you get nervous and you sort of go blank, forget the data. That happens with many people. So remember that it's a very small thing, but in the interview that little moment matters. And just make sure that you know where what is located on your portfolio, even if it is inverted or kept there. Sometimes it's not essential, because in our case the interview was very close, we were sitting very close by, so we were able to see our own portfolio. But in some cases, if we are sitting a little bit far, then probably we won't be even able to see the portfolio. We'll have to judge, just you know uh, go ahead on the basis of whatever questions there are. Besides that, yeah, as have knowledge, little bit basic knowledge. Please read the syllabus well of whatever department you are applying for. It's a really good idea to know some basic terminologies that you are going to be learning, what their meaning is. They might ask, they might expect you to have some knowledge before walking in. The one test that they are going to be seeing is, because these are hectic, SPA is known to be for good education, but also it's very hectic schedule. So they'll be expecting that you'll be able to go through that hectic schedule when you get into your masters. So they will want to get that out from you, whether you'll be able to handle all of that properly while being in other activities or something else. Yeah, and it's always better to, even if it's not because the portfolio is already made, to have at least some involvement in that field that you belong to, because it's always an edge. Till I found in conservation, they try to keep a really good balance of different states from India. Also different experience groups, means some who are immediately graduated, some who have a good experience, 3 to 4 years of experience, some who have because so that even in one single batch, people are able to guide each other, because they are a little bit of age group apart or from different states. Good diversity helps in conservation methods better. So they try to keep it like that. So even if you don't have gate, don't directly worry if you present yourself well enough, because not everybody in our batches also are gate scholars here. Half of them are gate, half of them are non-gate also. So because they try to keep a good balance, and everybody is able to grow together well, then with different perspectives. So just present yourself with confidence and to the best approach. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Madhusudan. We'll move on to Vishwas with the same question. What is the written test for urban planning and what kind of questions are asked?
Hello everyone, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Vishwas, I'm from urban planning second sem. So as just Madhusudan told, in my life, SPA interview was the first ever interview I attended. So I was pretty nervous, and I'm sure most of you are going through the same. So I'll go with the basics. So apart from what just Madhusudan told, so basic, I didn't know anyone who told me to uh, present yourself very well. So presenting yourself, the first thing we have to really look into is how we dress and how we present ourselves. So how we dress, what to wear is very important. Please keep that in mind, because you all are already graduates. Okay, so this is post graduation, so it's a very professional field, so we have to be very paused with what we wear, and we have to be comfortable with what we wear. So the second thing is, so confident and everything is there. uh, be authentic and be honest about your answers. So don't just repeat some sentence or some line what you heard from any other interview or any other, your friend told this and you liked it and you're using that in an interview. It's not gonna work. Make up your own sentences and make sure you're telling it properly and with authenticity. So the second thing, the first thing is be authentic and honest, and the second thing is you have your portfolio, you will present it to them, but they don't go through every pages in detail, and they'll hardly spend 1 to 2 minutes just looking at every pages. So keep your portfolio here. I mean, in your mind. Uh, Remember everything what you've written in portfolio about yourself, about your hobby. So my suggestion is to don't just put some software name because it's in very, it's very in demand, and you put that software and you don't know that software. So that is one thing you have to keep in mind, and you have to know everything about your thesis topic and everything. So mindset is very important. Uh, and Okay, one more thing. The last one, the third one is okay. So you're very dressed. You're looking good. You're set. You have confidence. You have your portfolio. You have that in your mind also. But one more thing that gets in mind after you go to an interview place, like when you as soon as you enter college, there are a lot of students with some great portfolio and with great communication skills than you. So when you see them like in a group, you get intimidated by that. That is for sure. When if this is your first interview in life, you will get intimidated no matter how well you prepared. So don't think about others. Just keep in mind that no matter who is better or best, give your best. That is what I'd like to say. So give your best. Don't worry about others. Just worry about yourself than others. So yeah, these are the three things which you need to keep in mind.
Okay. Thank you, Vishwas. I think you've also touched upon very, very important points which we usually miss on because
Yeah,
we focus more on the technical part. We'll come to that also
exactly.
ahead in the few questions. Next, we
Okay.
have Harish from the BEM department. Harish, would you like to share about how is the experience at the BEM department with respect to the test, or what kind of questions are asked in the written test if there is any?
Hello everyone, this is Harish from BM Department SPA. So I'm in first year, and so for the interview itself, we don't have actually any kind of written test as such. It is mainly one interview, and you'll be questioned based on your portfolios, uh, and they'll be asking upon your gate marks. And even if you don't have gate marks, you don't have to be worried about it because there is previous speakers have told, there is always a balance in all the batches with the gate students and people who are not given the gate also. So for the interview itself, yeah, the first thing is to look presentable, get your portfolios in well printed and presentable manner. And if you have some experience, the interviews will be mostly based upon your experience, the type of projects you have worked, and stuff like that. And also for the freshers who are just passing out from their bachelors, even they don't have to worry. Uh, Show your portfolio, and you'll be questioned more upon your academic projects and your understanding on them. And more importantly, don't be afraid of the questions that they ask, even if you don't know the answer to any of the questions. The important thing is to accept that you don't know, and let them know that you will be getting back to them, and you will try to find out the answers, and don't keep repeating the sentences. So these are some main things that will be expected from you, and be there on time. So these are few important stuff for our interview.
Okay, thank you, Harish. We'll move on to the next question. So I think only industrial design department has a written test, whereas for urban design or conservation or BM, there was no test as such. And same for urban planning, I guess. Right? Moving to the
I'd like
next.
to just add one important point in
Yes.
that interview process. While faculty interviewers are asking for your documents, please make sure that everybody keeps them in the order. First of all, arranges them in the order that they have already given online, and please do not be in a hassle of finding which certificate is kept where in your file folder. Keep them all in a neat order, tag them with sticky notes or something of what they are on the top. Do not search for them which document you are taking out from your file or from the transparent folders, because that's not a good impression of management skills in front of the interviewers. So be sure that before entering into the room, all of that is already set in a particular order. And if any confusion is there, uh, volunteer seniors will be there outside your interview rooms, so you can ask them for any confusion or any guidance you require. Okay, so be sure to be meticulous in that aspect. At least what you can control, have control on that, so that there are lesser mistakes possible.
Okay, thank you, Madhusudan. Very important point. So that you also come across as very well prepared in front of the panel. That's something important. We'll move on to our next question. That is, what are they exactly looking for in a candidate? Maybe we can start with Madhusudan.
Yeah, sure. I mean, still I can say there are some questions also that are coming up here, that what if we have no experience, how exactly to show our portfolios and all. There are some questions that are there in the chat box, so I'll try to relate also. Many times what they want is, we cannot directly say there is no experience that we have at all, because I believe your 5 years architecture journey has taught you all of these subjects precisely, and also taken you to many site visits, case studies, study tours around, workshops, heritage walks, especially in case of conservation. I'll say they are expecting that what kind of learnings you want from this place. Why exactly you are entering. Even if you have a lot of experience in conservation before entering, means they'll be expecting that you come up with a learning attitude and not know-it-all attitude. Okay, even if you have some good experience, show it that this experience has helped you to understand what you already have and what further you are lacking, so that you move forward ahead. They'll be expecting good quality in terms of documentations, in terms of working drawing, in terms of construction understanding also. But while doing that, I understand that English also is required to be, because while I am here, the curriculum, there is a lot of technical, English language in post-graduation course, especially due to research work and everything. So even if your English is weak, try to keep your best foot forward. Means you'll need to practice a little bit, because while they tell ki, okay, if you're comfortable, you can speak in Hindi. Some faculties support that, some don't. It's a very subjective thing, depends upon the interviewer how they are. But generally, because the entire course is in English, they'll be expecting the candidate knows at least basic level of English, because the course is entirely going to be taught in that language, and you have to even write it out in that language. Also, how to show your interest. Not everything in a portfolio needs to be from the studio projects that happen. There are a lot of other experiences, because we've already made the portfolio and probably printed and submitted or sort of something like that. But it would be a good idea for the end moment, call out your experiences from your BR journey of every small thing that is related. In conservation case, they can be all the 5 to 6 semesters of history of architecture learnings, your heritage walks, visiting monuments and study tours, settlement studies, documentation of culture, people's lifestyles, heritage. It can be anything. And there are a lot of terminologies. So they'll be expecting to at least know from you that whether you know the syllabus or not, the basic terminologies, whether you are aware or not. They'll ask you, do you know the difference between those basic principles of conservation? So read a little bit about it. Baki, it's self-confidence, and you need to be passionate. If you're actually passionate, somehow you're able to reflect it. It comes out visible because your portfolio somewhere is able to show ki you have, your sketches show what your interest is. Because if you are that interested here, either the sketches are available, or your competitions or your workshops, the seminars that you have attended, probably the studio projects, sense of design, how it is. It reflects whether you are into culture or modernism. That it's somewhere that feeling is there in your portfolio. So try to use all these little things so that you are able to show your passion more towards that particular field. In conservation, they'll be expecting that you have had experience of at least working towards history, culture, conservation, not in terms of a studio project. They won't be expecting, but at least some way your involvement, or beyond curriculum, extracurricular, they'll be expecting that if you wanted it to come here, you might have attended some webinars, seminars, workshops, or at least gone somewhere to experience or know where you are going. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Madhusudan. We also have Vijay from Conservation Department. So if Vijay, would you like to share your thoughts also? You're on mute. No, you're not audible, Vijay. Just okay. Till then, we'll move on to Niharika with the same question as to what are they looking for in a candidate during the interview.
I would say for industrial design, I think you don't need to know much about product design, because again, they understand that you are from architecture background. You have done your 5 years in architecture, and you might not know much about product design. So the portfolio that you present can be core architecture. They would not look at your portfolio much. So the HOD will be there as well. There are only like 3 faculties which are regular in a department, and 3 of them will be there, and they are looking more with interaction with you. So they will ask you a lot of questions about your general life and how you function in your general life, and portfolio not that much. Of course, portfolio should be there and is important, and you should know what you have put in your portfolio. And one advice that I would give everyone is just don't just put core architecture into it. Put anything that you have done outside of architecture as well. For example, a personal example of mine, I did some freelancing for some paintings for some people, so I put that in. Some Procreate sketches that I put in. So anything that is product design or UX UI design based, you can put that in. Doesn't matter if it's your experience or you have done it in college or not. Put that in as well. And of course, like everyone else is saying, your confidence and your dressing sense is very important. How you present yourself is very important, because again, we are now you will be pursuing post graduation. You have already completed your UG, so you need to conduct yourself in a professional manner, because you are a professional. You're an architect or an engineer now. So that's another thing. And you should again, like everyone else is saying, you should be very eager to learn. It doesn't matter if you know much or not. You can be wrong, but an attitude which is that I want to learn this and I want to do this is very appreciative by all the SPA faculties, and I think that's important. The interview usually lasts about half an hour for every person. Another thing that I would like to add for industrial design is the interviews go on till 11 p.m. in the night. So carry your food with you, your water with you, because the canteen will close at 6 p.m. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Niharika. We'll move on to Sharan. What are they expecting from the candidate exactly?
Okay, most of the points they have already covered. Obviously, body language matters, your document handling matters, your conduct matters, because these three things are very much the you are judged based on this thing, and as told, you are no more students now, you are professional. So present your case in that way. Expectations, one thing that they want to ensure, get ensured is that yes, you want to be in this field, whatsoever field you are choosing for, and that is also visible in your portfolio. Portfolio, as in, suppose it need not have that domain specific project. As already told, portfolio does not means only academic project. It also means competition that you have been part of, which actually based on your choices. Also freelancing or any experience work, and any kind of documentation also, for example, are part of your portfolio. So even if you do not have any academic project which is of urban design or something, you may have done some work which was inclined towards the field you are trying to join. For example, I did my internship at Ahmedabad. So every day I used to go through the CG road, which is quite award-winning project of FCP. So I found that interesting. By that time, I did not even thought of doing a master's, that too in urban design. I documented that. It was not part of my any academic submission or something. And while I was preparing my portfolio, I thought I should put that also in my portfolio. It was not a competition. It was not an academic project. I put that documentation in my portfolio. So such things you guys may also have. Also, they get a hint of your temperament based on your how you tackle your academic projects also. For example, what's your intention behind those projects? As Madhusudan already told, what are the theories you are applying? Maybe those are inclined towards suppose urban design or something. So these things are plus points for you. So basically, only thing is they want to ensure that you are mature enough to handle the pressure that they are going to put you through in for this 2 years. For example, currently all my batchmates are there in studio only. They're working. I came here for this thing, and again after this, I'm going back there. And today we would have a all nighter in studio. So this is the kind of pressure which is there. So everyone cannot handle that unless and until you are kind of mad for the field you want to join. You won't be able to handle that, and you guys really have that thing in you. Have that confidence and become prepared for this. That.
Thank you, Sharan. Vijay, we would go with you.
Yeah. I think I'm audible now, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine. So I want to add on some points to the Sharan and Madhusudan also. Even Vishwas also said related to the how we need to present like with the dressing sense, and even I want to add on a point on the portfolio and how we need to be in the interview. Like once we'll get into the interview, right? So don't bluff anything. Like whatever we have, like in the portfolio, just go through that. And as Madhusudan said, like just go arrange your sheets and everything like proper order manner. Like I just want to add one point. Like I'm a non-gate student, so I just got into through the SOP and the portfolio. That's the main advantage. So how did I get into through the portfolio and the SOP? So what I you already submitted the SOP and all. So based on that, you also got selected in the candidate list. So in the portfolio, just you need to say like what are all the major coming to the conservation department, so they'll just go through your portfolio and ask for some of the materiality, technicality and the structural components, or how do you like involved in the communities and designing interventions like that. So just go through the major works that you have done. So keep the portfolio very crisp, like very like minimal quantity. Like, quantity doesn't make any sense. So quality of the work matters. So the quality of the works, like just flip through the portfolio and what are the major confidence. Like if you have confidence in your work, thesis is done, like if it is a cultural heritage hub like that, so just go through that. And if you have a work experience like 2 years or 1 years of work experience, so just talk about that. And you need to just go through the conservation, like you next 2 years you will be a conservation architect. So in that intentions, so you need to speak like you are an aspirant for the conservation, right? So you need to be a, like you need to show them, like, I mean, okay, he's concerned about the conservation and all the thing heritage, so that should come in your interview. So that's the one point I want to raise in the interview. And second one is the dressing manner is also like normal, that's the basic thing. And the third one is I just want to add in conservation department, there will be three faculties in the who's sitting in the conservation, what is how it is happening in the interview. So this time, like, it will be a more for gate, it's a more marks for the gate, like weightage for the gate. So as compared to last year, and be confident enough, like if you are non-gate students, just go through the portfolio with a very confident manner, and tell what you have worked and where you have worked, so that counts, that's add up to the point. So that's what I want to say.
Thank you, Vijay. That was insightful. We'll move on to Vishwas. Yeah, you're on mute. Yes.
Yeah, I'm audible, right? So I'd like to give out three questions. So one is about yourself. They'll ask about yourself for sure. The first question, as soon as you enter and give your portfolio, they'll ask these questions. Be ready for it. And second question is, why you're doing masters? Why you're doing masters? And if you selected urban planning, why you're doing urban planning? Why you selected urban planning? That is very important. Why for every answer is important, and you have to give very like impactful reasoning for it. You can't just go like I want to earn more and I want to earn more, that's why I want to earn one more degree. So you can't give reasons like that. You have to be very logical. For example, you can say like I want to increase my knowledge horizon. So words like this matters a lot. So yeah, and one more thing, they'll ask about your thesis. No matter which department interview you're going, they'll ask about your thesis for sure. So be reasonable about why you did that thesis and what was the outcome of that. So that you have, since thesis is some of you did very long ago, you have to go through your thesis again. Now, when you go through it, you will get a different perspective about what I can potentially say about my thesis topic in a very short period of time. So going through your works is also important to answer this question. And one more thing is, if you worked and applied for this SPA to post graduation again, you have to tell in detail about what you worked in very short period. Just that question is just to gauge your understanding level about what you worked previously in your architecture firm or any other works. So these are the three things which are really important. And when you are answering questions, sometimes there are four people sitting in front of you or five people, five lectures who have really very good knowledge and they're very experienced people. So don't get intimidated by them also. Just look at everyone for each answer. If someone asked a question, don't just look at them and answer. Look at everyone and explain that question, explain your answer to everyone. You have to make eye contact with every single person in that room, and everyone needs to feel engaged in your conversation. So yeah, that's all I can say.
Okay. Thank you, Vishwas. We'll move on to Harish for the BM department.
Yes. So for the interview itself, there are few things that I would want to tell. First thing would be from the portfolio, there will be a lot of questions asked. If you are an experienced candidate, know in and out of your projects, whatever drawings you're gonna put inside the projects are gonna be what your questions will most likely be based upon. And apart from those things, you might want to know things about uh, the surroundings of your projects too. Sometimes they can be questions about the location based and sometimes the external condition based. So this department deals with the management. So basically, you will have to know about each and everything that is in and around the project also. So whether you are an experienced candidate or a fresher candidate, the thesis or the project that you have worked on that you're going to show on from your portfolio, know each and everything about it because the questions can be asked anywhere. And apart from those, they can also be questions based upon what you have prepared for GATE maybe or from your basic academic syllabus. So it wouldn't be anything out of context, but yes, don't be intimidated by any of the staffs. And based on the number of staff sitting on the panel, they might sometimes split the panel into two, and there can be two sets. So everyone will be sitting in the interviews. So mm, there might sometimes be two sets. So be ready for both, and there will be different kind of questions asked based on the faculty who will be sitting there and their own expertise. So that's it.
Thank you, Harish. So I think we've covered more for the technical part, do's, don'ts, etc. I'll move on to the next question. That is, what should be my mindset on the day of the interview as a student? So I would like you all to tell me in terms of rather than the technical part, uh, let's say what the thought process should be or how to keep that positive attitude. Or let's say not get intimidated by the person who's before me for the interview and who comes and says, oh, it was really bad, this happened, that happened, and how not to get scared from that as well. So, Sharan, let's begin with you.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, on the day of your interview, be very calm and composed. First thing. Secondly, you can get the idea of the trend of questions being asked. So one thing that you can ask others is what type of questions are they asking. No need to go in detail in what happened with everyone. Everyone has their own way of judging the jurors, the interviewers also. They have their own cases. No need to go in details. Just ask what were the questions, basic questions. So if there are about 5-10 people before you, you get to know a probable list of questions. Okay, these are the basic questions they would be asking. So you can have a thinking on that. Okay, what you are going to answer. First thing. Secondly, no need to check others' portfolios and things. Concentrate on your own work. You may go through your portfolio pages. No need to. Uh, there's no need to be nervous. Frankly, that would ruin your chance to get in. So it's better to get an idea of what is the trend of questions they are asking, or if there is any kind of thing that may trigger the jurors. Okay, you can ask this kind of things, and that's it. And be calm and composed. You'll be waiting in AC studios. Relax. That's it. And there are people. For example, my interview was the very first one in the second day, so I did not gone through that tough period. But that time also, people around me were like, "Did you know this? Did you went through all these things?" So I was like, please, matlab, it's better not to discuss that much and be very calm and composed and try to answer the questions that you are getting logically and honestly. That's it. This is what I say. Try to be calm and composed. That's it. And it can be very hectic because for people who are waiting since morning 9:30, and it, as already told, it usually goes up till 8, and in worst cases it may go even late also, because they need to complete all these interviews within 4 days. So it's better have food. First of all, you should have proper food and water, so that your body also supports you.
Okay, thank you, Sharan. Madhusudan, what is your perspective on this?
Uh, I think the best way is to share my experience. uh, like all of us are sitting there for the interview. It has been long. Everybody's waiting for the interview. We all are graduated architects. Some of us, of course, potential future classmates are sitting there. I would suggest somebody get up and break the ice, start interacting as normal human beings, talking to each other. We are from different places, different states, different experiences. Forget the interview for a few minutes after you set up your entire file, your portfolio, however confident you want it to be. But that does not take more than half an hour or an hour or max, I'll say. Because after that, the more number of seconds you keep sitting idle and still, for people who have a meditative, calm, and composed mindset, it's easy. But for many who cannot handle sitting silently in a room full of people for hours, it becomes nerve wracking. I'll say it's better to get up and break the ice, interact, ask each other where are you from, because you might be classmates and or you might not meet each other for your entire life and ahead. So it's better to just know new people, uh, share your contacts, go have food with each other. There, don't feel like, oh no, what will happen if he gets elected and I don't get selected, and all of that, because everything at the end of the day is how you give your own interview. So get up, you know crack a few jokes so that everybody can ease down a little bit and sit there like human beings, and not as just as robots waiting to crush each other in the interview room. Because it feels really weird when all the architects themselves are sitting there, or engineers probably, because in conservation only there is architecture students, I guess, who are allowed. And yeah, I'll suggest that's one of the best ways. And second, mindset inside the interview room. Please don't do anything, because you are in a trance. We are in a sort of a surreal motion that goes on during the interview process. Don't do excessive actions or excessive activities that will break your link. Interact, but don't interact so much that you completely get out of the mindset of the seriousness of the interview. Because you need to be, stay on a balanced border. And when you go inside, please don't break your concentration with anything like falling down off, please don't carry a plastic bag and documents in it, which will keep on making that crushing sound. It's irritating for the interviewers, and you forget things inside. You forget what you asked because of that little noise if it takes away your attention. These little gestures matter. Wear clothes that are comfortable. Don't wear because you want to impress, because if you are uncomfortable, it will take away many moments of your, concentration. I felt comfortable in a kurta, and it was a good thing to wear that day, and especially being in conservation. So I wore a very normal kurta, even an old one at that, which I thought I had many memories with. So it's not a compulsion that a tie, suit, everything needs to be there. But yeah, formal, semi-formal, whatever you wear, but you should be confident, you should be comfortable in it. And because everything that you do, have a good breakfast. Don't feel hungry right at the time of the interview. Keep yourself comfortable, go to the washroom and come. Not anything that can come in between your comfort of the interview. Just get it done beforehand itself, and be happy. One day before, get good sleep. At night when you sleep, I'll suggest just let the portfolio and an interview process with a positive mindset flow, so that and wake up with a good mood. Please don't be late. That's one of the most important things, because faculties are really going to be strict about that attribute, and your interview get cancelled. Please don't do that. And exactly at the moment before the interview, don't leave the cabin or the room of the interview gathering just because you had some work, somebody called or something like that, because there might be processes that your seniors might call you for beforehand. So be sure that nothing that comes in between breaking your mindset or creating nervousness inside you is sticks in. Just keep yourself, do everything that you can to keep it away, but don't be like a zombie there. Interact with people normally to a certain level. Yeah.
Thank you, Madhusudan. Very well said. And these are actually very, very small points, but they have a larger impact in the overall setting. So that is really nice. Niharika, we'll move on to you.
Hi again. So, just adding on to what Madhusudan said, I think he framed it all very well. Interact with people there, and of course, your peers there, but most importantly, interact with your seniors as well. There will be me, I will be there, our seniors will be there, a lot of seniors, everyone will be there to help you and guide you through the process. So if you're feeling nervous at any point of time, or if you need anything, please interact with us, interact with your seniors, and I am sure they will be able to help you very quickly. About the mindset that you need to have is, do not be nervous. I think confidence is a state of mind. Everyone's is just pretending. Actually, no one is confident. So you just need to, pretend till you make it. So just don't be nervous. If you are nervous while speaking English, English is another important factor, I think, because that's one language that everyone is expected to know. So even though you can speak in your regional language or Hindi, but they prefer English, and you should have a little grasp on it so that you are able to present yourself and whatever you're saying well. And I was saying, don't be nervous. If you are nervous while speaking, speak slowly to frame your sentences. Frame your sentences in your mind and then speak. It doesn't matter if you are stuck also somewhere. You should be able to get your point across to them. And again, don't be nervous about the portfolio or the SOP. I don't know about the other departments, but for industrial department, it doesn't matter much. They won't even look at your SOP or your documents. That's another process that happens afterwards. They're not concerned about that in that moment. In that moment, they're concerned about to get to know you and your aspirations and how well you have performed in your life thus far, that you are here right now in SPA. And we just want to know you as a person. Thank you.
Thank you, Niharika. Vishwas, we'll move on to you with the same question.
Yeah, sure. So I'd like to mm, tell something different which nobody has covered. So everyone told, whatever everyone told are exactly the points we need to keep in mind. So mindset, I'd like to talk more about mindset. So mind is like a tape recorder. So all the thoughts are like, records you put in and put out. So don't get stuck with any thought and repeat it in your mind. So for example, if you prepare well for any one particular question, or if you're not prepared about any one particular question, don't just get stuck with that one question and repeat answer in your mind. So don't do that, and don't stick with any other thoughts. Just make friends. So people from every state will be sitting in front of you, next to you, back of you. So make friends, even if they don't come in your class, or even if they don't get admitted in SPA, you make friend that people who are gonna last long in your life. So make friends, don't interview them, don't get interviewed also. So when you're talking, don't talk about interviews only. Like, have you seen this? Have you seen that project? This is the new policy scheme. No, nothing. Make friends, ask personal questions. Where are you from? Where you stayed? What is your plan after interview? All those normal questions. Make yourself comfortable with the environment there. And one more thing, uh, motivate others to get motivated. So ask people if they're a little scared about interview, or they're also thinking the same thing, because one thing everyone will be having in their mind is about interview and their nervousness. So ask about that and motivate others for you to motivate yourself. When you do this, you feel confident than the person you're having conversation with, when you motivate him. So yeah, give your best, don't think about others. And yeah, that's all I can say.
Thank you, Vishwas. Vijay, what would you like to add?
So yeah, going with the Vishwas as he said, like be comfortable in on the day of the interview. So make new friends, as you know, like I mean, they're all from the different states and like I mean, from the country. So don't be nervous on the day of the interview. So if I want to explain my scenario of the interview on the day of the interview, so mine was on last day of the interview. So I went 2 days before into the college. So I just want to familiar with the environment of the department. So even though mine was like around 18th and 19th, so 2 days, so it was. So I went before, like I mean, a day before the interview. So just familiar with the people who are there, like I mean, students who came for the interview, and be familiar with the seniors who are there already present in the will be there tomorrow if you come day for tomorrow, so both the days. So be familiar with the environment and be comfortable, feel comfortable. So I'll be getting to know, like I mean, oh, this is the scenario here. So like from here to like 9 from 9 a.m. to till 6 p.m. it might be, otherwise it will again long last, depends upon the interviewers. So um keep a calm mind on the day of the interview. It doesn't to be any doesn't take any much of time. Like for me, it took a register 10 minutes of the day of the on the day of the interview, and make a friends, make a new friends, and always stay confident in the during the interview and on the day of the interview, and yeah, feel comfortable. So that's the major things that on the day of the interview. And other thing, yeah, that's all about what I want to say. Already mentioned here, Sharon, Vishwas, Madhu, Niharika, all they gave a good insights already. So yeah, right.
Yeah. Harish, would you like to
Uh,
add anything?
I'd like to add one more point.
Yes, please.
So, when you are sitting in an interview, there will be a lot of questions shooting at you. So someone will ask something, and before you answering it, another person will shoot a question at you. Those are different questions. So when you answer a question, while you are answering, they'll ask another question also. So address each question. So after you complete your answer for one question, answer for the another question uh, before asking their next question. You have to address every question. That's the point. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Vishwas. It's also an important point because sometimes we get intimidated also because looking at the panel members plus everybody shooting questions. Harish, what is your take on the mindset?
Yes, so talking from my own experience, when I attended the interview, the staff will be intimidating, they'll be asking a lot of questions, but the most important thing is to give a very honest answer and be confident on what you're going to say. And whatever comes in your mind, shoot it, because they aren't looking for the most perfect or the right answer from you. They are looking for the confidence. There will be in a panel, there will be at least two stars who will be looking mostly at your composure, how confident you are answering, and your vocabulary as such. So it's really important to maintain your composure while you answer, and more you stutter, they'll be asking more questions. It's better to have the confidence when you are talking about your own projects, and it's important to play to your strengths.
So I think just to sum up what all of you said, would it be right to say that your attitude is also what they are testing or what is more important than the technical knowledge that you might or you may or might not know? Would that be correct to say the attitude plays a major role? And considering, of course, their experience for the past 15, 20 years, they would probably be able to gauge within the first two questions if looking at your attitude as well, right? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So your attitude should be very open. You shouldn't be very egoistic, or you shouldn't be, centered with only one kind of attitude. When they ask you something, if you know about it, you have to confidently tell it. And even if you don't know about it, you have to tell you don't know about it, but you're willing to learn it. Because at the end of the day, everyone here are to learn and grow as a person. So don't be in that notion of I know more than everyone here. Your answer should sound very positive. It shouldn't sound very negative. Like, I don't know it. And you can't end any sentence like you don't know. If you don't know, you have to state it and you have to tell, I am willing to learn it. I will learn it. You have to make sure you give an attitude which is very willing to learn kind of attitude. Yeah, so yeah, that's something. I think others will answer.
Yes. Thank you, Vishwas. So I will move on to the next question that would it be right to say in terms of the probable questions, let's say the general questions, if I say what can we expect as something like tell us about yourself, where are you from, why do you want to join this course, or maybe a question related to, let's say, for conservation department, right, some question related to conservation and probably the city you come from is something maybe we can expect, or where do you see yourself in the future, or why do you think will this course be helpful, are these kind of the general questions that are asked for the candidates?
Uh, uh, I'll say one peculiar thing that I've observed teachers here. We think that we are the ones who are researching about them and then going for the interview. But mind you, they are going to be spending 2 years, 2 entire years with those few 15, 20 people who are going to be in the batch, and they know about you. They are well researched. When I entered into the room, it felt as if they already knew me. They had read about me, and when they answered, there was some issues with my case of gate. So they already said, we have already discussed your case a few times with some people. We know what you are capable of, and we know what issues are there. We'll try looking into it. Means they have done their homework. They know, they've seen, and especially as ma'am said, the first two questions, I'll say before those two questions, they have already a mindset in place. Their own interpretations and mindset in place. After reading the first thing that we submit to them, the Google form that we submit to them with our own reasoning, a little SOP that we send, the first mindset itself is generated there. We are already leaving imprints on them of who we are. And of course, that imprint, they generate their own mindset about us. And when we enter the room with ourselves, as a presenter, it gets either a tick or a no readily, because they are able to register, okay, this is what I expected him to be or her to be. No, it feels something is different about the person. It feels there is more. So it depends. It all depends. And the first 2-3 questions, the way we are speaking, whether we shiver, whether we are using our hand gestures freely, or whether we are tucked in and nervous, and how confident we are, whether we are greeting everybody with our eyes, all of that matters whether they'll ask that question or not. And what I have experienced, because I have experienced a few interviews, that uh, the person asking the question also asks the question from their mindset. If the person is more, a person who asks serious questions from a very light-hearted point, like a joke, or whether the person asks it as if it's a philosophical question. It depends upon who the interviewer is. Like, the question might be the same, but the way the question is put forth, whether as a serious technical question, whether as a serious, it depends upon the person also is asking. That's where it comes handy to know them a little bit from secondary research. And it has helped me to know them, because whether their sound scares me, or whether it makes me nervous, or whether it makes me feel, when I sat into the interview, one of the faculties looked exactly same like my thesis faculty of BRs. I was like, oh my God, is she the same person? It was so relatable. Even her voice or the motherly quality she had sort of matched with my own faculty. So I was very comfortable to look at her and explain things than other people also. So, you should find your own anchor point while interview, because it can reduce your nerves down. And as ma'am said, the basic questions, generally it starts with the basic questions, but I think they personalize and tailor it based on our portfolio and based on what research they have done about us. Because I felt it's more personalized and they already knew about a little bit about us. Yeah.
Anyone else would like to add up
Yeah, I just want to
anything to the
add on
general?
one
Yes.
point to that, Madhusudan's. So as you said, like it's all about your guess, like the attitude, like how you behave and during the interview. So they already before we are entering to the in the room in the interview room. So they already gone through your portfolio, through your SOP, statement of purpose. So they already knew your where you come from and what you have worked and what is your state of interest. So especially in the conservation department, they more focus on like what are the works you have already did. So based on that, your questions will be framed in the state of in the during the interview. So so be confident about yourself, like okay, so if I'm from Hampi, so they'll talk about like, okay, you are from Hampi, so what are the works you have already did, they just a general talk will be there. So basic basis on the where you come from, locations. So have a basic idea of your background study, like have a basic idea of your place and the importance of the place and the significance of the place. So based on that, they will start how that's how I started my interview. On the day of the interview, it will be very friendly kind of a thing. It's not like okay, it's an interview day, like they go then. It will be very friendly and make sure that you'll be positive on the your side. And please be happy, may always be smile during the interview. It's not like okay ma'am, like it's not like don't be nervous. So be smiley on the day of the interview, in the during the interview also. So that's the major thing.
Thank you, Vijay. Sharan or Niharika, Vishwas, Harish, any one of you would like to add any more questions to the general questions?
So there is one thing that was asked to me. So I'm actually from Chennai, so I have joined here. So one of the questions that was asked to me was if I'll be comfortable with the language. So the staffs were interested in if I already know the language or if I'm open to learning the language after I join here, because no one is going to force you to learn it. But since you're gonna stay here for the next 2 years, it will be much more comfortable. If you don't know the language, you should be open to learning it, making new friends, and that is how you connect with other people in your class. So that is a very important thing to showcase to the faculty who will be interviewing you. And the other thing is your portfolio itself. So like make your own opportunity. So if you're going to explain about yourself, first tell about the factors that you want to actually show off, like it may be one of the competitions you have won, or your thesis project being the key project in your portfolio, or your work experience, or some major project that you have actually assisted on. So these are your key and strengths. So talk about them, make the opportunities yourself, make the conversation go in a direction where the questions are being asked to your strengths and to your knowledge.
I think being smart enough to even guide your interview or channelize your interview is something very, very important. So probably like what Harish you said, right? So talk about your strengths, and usually what happens in interviews is when you are done with answering one question, probably the next question comes from that answer. In a lot of interviews, this is something that also happens. So, like Harish said, maybe if you can try and channelize your own interview, if it is possible or if you are good at it, don't try it at the end moment. Uh, Sharan, Niharika, Vishwas, anyone would like to add more questions to the general questions?
Yeah, one question that I was asked, and most of the students I think will be asked, is why have you chosen SP over IIT? So that question for me personally, I wanted to stay in Delhi. This is my hometown. I didn't want to go out, so I answered it that way. So you might want to be prepared about that. That why do you want to come into SPA over IIT? Do not, of course, do not say that I did not get into IIT. That's why SPA. Frame a positive answer for yourself, whatever your reason is, and tell them that. Another thing that is happening right now is you can apply into more than one course. So this has happened for the first time in SPA. Till last year, only you could have applied only in one course. So if you have applied in more than one courses, and if you come across a question that they are asking that if you've applied in other courses and why, so maybe frame your answer in a way that this is my priority and the other ones are my backhand options, and then illustrate further why this particular course that you're giving an interview for is your priority. And I think that would help you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Niharika. I think that is an important point and a change that they've done this year, where you can apply for more than one department. So be prepared with those questions also. Why this? Why not that? Or which is your first preference if you get into both, right? Yes, Vishwas.
Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of you here are fan of Virat Kohli. So yeah, one thing he says when he scores more for a bowler, so he says he lived that moment before actually experiencing that moment in his mind. So the best thing right now is to do for everyone is make a list of 10 questions. So imagine yourself sitting in an interview place in front of your no people who are gonna take your interview. Imagine yourself sitting in front of them and answering the questions that are potentially gonna come. So don't take time to think and answer. Just answer wildly. Whatever comes in your mind, just answer wildly. And after completing all the 10 questions, for example, after completing all the 10 questions, take a moment and think about your answers. Did it sound good? Did you like your answers? Did you like your answer before others liking your answer? So if not, write it down and think how you can make it better. So take interviews in your mind with yourself at least thrice, at least 3 times before you actually going into interview, which is I guess tomorrow, right? So yeah, do that. It hardly takes no 1.5, 2 hours to interview yourself at least in your mind twice. So do this, you will feel confident.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a very helpful exercise for everybody to do because, of course, you all have time till tomorrow. Some of you probably have your interviews the day later and so on. So utilize this time. Sharan, would you like to add any question?
Majorly everything is already covered. The last suggestion is the most useful thing. We personally did this, and we have just 12 hours now. For some of you, those who have their interviews tomorrow, so it's time you guys stop getting distracted. You already know that what would be the initial icebreaker question. Okay, so try to have an answer to this, and I think writing it down once and try to keep it as true as possible, because if it's true, it's very convenient to speak. Okay, no need to decorate your sentence and things. Keep it simple, keep it true, and you should have those answers in your mind, because either those questions would be like for urban design especially, you should have idea of what's going on in your city. Actually that kind of for all the branches, especially in urban design, then how are those projects happening, what's your take on those things. So you should have a critical view as a citizen also, isn't it? As a aware citizen, you should have those observations. That one thing you should have. Secondly, for a project, they may ask what's the USP of this particular project. What's the major thing that you did that you would like to share? So you should know all those major things, because at times what happens is you may have done that project in your third year or something. You forgot to tell that you really did something well, but you could not tell that to the jurors. So it's better you once in calm mind go through things and ensure to highlight. You should also have a list of things that you like to highlight out of your portfolio or out of your experience, so that you have those keywords or things in mind. Yeah, that's
Thank you, Sharan. I think most of you, all of you have covered about the general questions as well as your portfolio thesis, etc. And like Vishwas also said, make your own questions. I would say the same for your portfolio, because it's going to be different for every portfolio. Sit and open your portfolio and frame questions on that as well. Secondly, like Sharan said, don't bluff. So even coming to other things like extracurriculars, your hobbies, you know, probably you might not like reading, but just to try and impress, you've written reading, or you say that, okay, I like to read or paint or something. So avoid that, because they can get into deeper level of questions and that will be harmful for you, definitely. And yeah, I think more or less that sums it up. Along with that, would any of you like to share any of your experiences? Anything that went on, or like I'll give you an example. We had a acquaintance, a faculty who had gone for her interview. She's completed her master's, but the day of the interview, she was walking and her chappal broke off. So the volunteers were very kind to help her, etc., all of that. And what she also told us, that it's a situation where you have a important interview, all of this is happening, and you as a human you tend to panic a lot, right? But she kept her calm, and of course she got selected, everything, all that is done. So any kind of such incidences, or there's another incidents that I would like to share is uh, one faculty, another one, where they went in for the interview, and it was a morning interview, and they went in and they said good afternoon. So as a person we are like, oh shit, now the interview is gone, now I don't know, that sometimes happens in your mind. But what the person did was they just kept calm and they said, oh sorry, good morning to everyone, and then it went on smoothly. The person selected, etc., all of that is done. So any such incidences you all would like to share where these students could also learn from, or anybody who's experienced anything of this sort, so that would just help them in the process.
okay. Yeah, I'll go. In some cases, interviews go in very convenient manner. Yeah, everything went well, nothing critical happened or things. It does not mean you are being selected. Okay. And also at times, in several of my batchmates uh, interviews, there were like very critical questions. What you have done is not what actually urban design means, or whatever you have work you are thinking of you have done as part of urban design in your office. It's actually nothing sort of urban design and things, and there could have been much better options to do and things. That is just to check what is your response. Okay, because whatever you have done, you have thought a lot behind doing those things. So those questions are just to ensure to check your depth. That's it. So it does not matter how is your, well, it matters, but in this case, it does not. If everything is very convenient, it does not mean you are in. And even if everything is not as per you, is very rigorous or very critical kind of thing, I think if they are being critical to that level, there are chances that you are in. Okay. So no need to kind of put more thinking on those things. It's better you put your mind in the positive things or the constructive things. You answer your points well. And for example, I believe the reason behind me getting this state is there are two things. One was my thesis. which was a urban design related thesis, which got selected for NIASA and things. One was that, and another one was an answer that I gave regarding Varanasi. So in the very initial icebreaker question, I was being asked that yeah, there are several projects happening in Varanasi. They asked about a particular project. What's your take on that? So it was like it created a kind of hindrance in the walkable. Varanasi is a city of alleys and gullies, no? So it created a hindrance, and what was the impact of that in the overall community or the people's life in all the ways that I could possibly observe. I just told that as being okay. It was nothing a sort of architecture also. That was mere observation and my basic analysis. So now I feel that was that level of understanding, that minimum level of understanding was the major reason why I'm along with portfolio was the reason. So even answering a question, one question can make you get a seat in the course you want to. So it depends. So it have to be, you need to be calm and composed and answer things truthfully. That's it.
Thank you, Sharan. Anybody else would like to share any experience or any incidents?
I would like to.
Yes.
So my interview started at 10 p.m. in the night, and yet the faculties were not angry or irritated at all. They were very, very generous and very calm, and they still gave me half an hour for me. So, personally, for industrial design, I think the faculties make you comfortable in the first 15 minutes and then start your interview. So, if anyone is giving interview for industrial design, you do not need to worry. The seniors are there, we are there, the faculties themselves are there. If there is any problem, I'm sure everyone will come to your rescue and solve it for you. So do not be nervous if you're entering industrial design department. Everyone is very supportive there, and they will make you comfortable. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Niharika. Anyone else would like to add anything? Madhusudan, Vijay, Vishwas?
I'll say me.
Yeah, I'd like to add.
Okay, yeah, Vishwas, you
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. So first of all, interview will happen for like 5 to 10 minutes. That's all. Mine was only 5 minutes. They asked me only 5 questions. So your number of questions depends on how well you answer. So if they're asking okay, one thing. So they ask you questions like they don't know the answer, but deep down they know the answer. Want you to, they want to test how honest you're in your answers. For example, they'll ask about any recent news or any general knowledge, like what is that issue that's happening? They know it, but still they're asking you in this manner. So if you don't know about it, tell I'm not aware of it, sir, or I have not come across it, sir. Don't just bluff anything. So this is one thing. If the the positive about being honest while interview is you don't get nervous for your second answer if you are honest about your first answer. So why people get nervous is they tell something that they don't know and they're not confident about it. So tell only what you're confident about and what you know. And three main thing which they look for you in is your attitude, your general knowledge, and your patience to handle pressure. So the whole interview scenario is to see how well you handle pressure. So till the pressure starts when you hear the news, you're having an interview. So when you go to an interview, to that door, you will be in the peak of that pressure. So ask yourself, how well I can handle this pressure. So your answer will deep down, you have all the answers for all your questions. So yeah, practice your mindset properly before going to any interview. Like they're looking for these three qualities. How well I can I can increase these three qualities, and how well I can support in my answer that I have these skills. So that's what I'd like to say.
Thank you, Vishwas. Madhusudan, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, means like my interview was completely opposite than what Vikas just mentioned. Like I said, it went on for 45 minutes. It was a long interview. It was more like a group of friends chatting rather than exactly an interview, because I means in my case I had some a good experience in the field before coming. So most of the scenario we had many common people that we knew about. I knew some SPA alumni already. I knew the faculties in several coincidences that were there. So means there might be familiars between the faculty and you if somebody has the experience in the field. Try to tap on that, because it might help to create familiar coincidences, and you might get a topic to discuss that is a positive one for both. Like the place I did my bachelor's internship was also in conservation based architectural firm. Means my scenario was like there's nothing else than rather than conservation that I would do in my life. Everything about me spoke like that. Whether it's my SOP or each page of my portfolio was compulsorily molded only for conservation. I cannot even pick it up and put it to other course because it's so weaved into just conservation field. Everything, even the dress that I was wearing that day. So I presented myself like that. It went on for long, but there was a lot of please, like, means I'll say, have a smile on your face. Don't look ghastly, even if you're nervous inside, because if there is no smile and the face looks pale and gray, the interest keeps on going down, because you need to find your comfort zone within that room. Just look around that room for a moment and find out whatever makes you feel comfortable in that room, even for a second. Make it your anchor point of concentration, so that it helps you be calm in there. uh, when they said to me that I have that experience and everything, my portfolio, everything is really good, but they'll have to give me 0 marks for gate. Okay, it makes you feel not confident then, because I already qualified gate, but it had been 3 years ago, and the score was just the score just expired between the application duration. But not to go, because they comforted me that it's not a issue that much, because later I did get my gate, because it came out that it was not just an issue with me, it was an issue with all the gate applicants from that year whose scores were applicable when we applied but got expired just when we came to the interview. So it was an issue with everybody, and it was cleared by the government. There was somebody who said ki, what if it backfires if we say ki we want to be in a comfort zone in Delhi? But you need to remember your answers need to be more thorough than that. For somebody whose portfolio has supported them, whose experience has supported them, an answer like that might be okay. But for somebody who has already does not have that much of good tick marks in their scenario, and upon that if you add one more that I am not comfortable going out of Delhi, then it might backfire, because you need to have at least some fruit still in your basket, because you need to remember that it's Delhi you are talking about. The amount of networking that you'll be able to do. SPAD is specially meant for conservation, for planning, architecture, research in this field. IITs were never meant. IITs came later on. Architecture came later in them. SPA's library is heritage itself. I'll say the amount of data that they have, and the kind of network and teaching that happens here, and especially because you are in Delhi, is not something that you'll find randomly in any other place, even if it is IIT. Especially for conservation perspective, I'll say that it's the most matured course that I think there is in pan India, whether it is SPA Bhopal or SPA Vijayawada. This is the most matured place for conservation field, at least. So, and that's where I again pressure key. If you research enough, you'll have more reasons, because networking is one of the skills they are looking for. We are in post graduation. Networking is what they'll promote, they'll teach, and they'll look for also. Ki, are you networking? Are you a part of Council of Architecture? Are you a part of INTAC or some organizations already? Are you aware that there are organizations that work like that? Did you do any social service that directs somehow towards this category? it can be anything that can click in them that they might ask you. It all supports. And actually, there are a lot of questions here in the chat box. I think we should start taking them because we
Yes.
won't have enough time.
Sure,
Uh,
sure. I would just like to add one more thing. Like all of you mentioned different times for the interview, right? 45 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, etc. So one thing for all the students is that please don't judge your interview on the basis of somebody else's time. That okay, they have finished my interview in 5 minutes, but everybody else they were taking 30 minutes. Probably maybe it could be that they have found all their answers, what they were expecting, and it could be that also. So don't judge yourself, or don't think about that during the process, or even don't think that okay, everybody is done in 5 minutes, they've taken 45 minutes for me, is something wrong? Or so don't panic, and I think don't let your mind go to that direction also, because that will hamper you somewhere in the process of giving the interview. So I think let's move on to the questions. uh, just a minute, I will.
one important point I wanted to
Yes,
mention:
please. Yes,
the
please.
portfolio sizes. Also, don't worry a lot. People have big, thick portfolios. People have small portfolios. I had three because I was confident that I am requiring that. So it does not matter. And I wanted to hand out something in the hands of each interviewer so that they are busy and they are not, continuously throwing questions at me. But one important point is, as you are able to apply in multiple courses, and if it's the same portfolio that has been sent to each and every course with no concentration on any course at all, then there might be a bit of problem, because either you need to then support your answers in a way that your portfolio still concentrates toward the interview of the field you are giving in. And many times it happens that you are applying to SEPT also in Ahmedabad. They have a very limited size of portfolio, 12 pages, maximum 15 pages. But in SPA Delhi, they allow you to go free. You express the way you like. You can have small, you can have multiple, but a portfolio which is so small that is not even able to cover all the things that you have is not appreciated generally. I found in conservation department. At least put a thorough amount of data, because heritage requires a lot of stuff to explain. It does not work with minimalism. At least conservation doesn't work with minimalism, because everything is too intricate here. In at least the conservation side, when I saw, uh, being minimalist is fine, but deleting everything that is important and then saying ki, yeah, it looks neat and clean like a magazine, I won't suggest that. And because the portfolios are already ready, I won't suggest changing them, panicking right now, but mold your answers in a way that everything you're explaining about your portfolio somehow leads to the point of conservation or something about culture or heritage or what you want to protect. That passion should come out, because you need to cater. Actually, the portfolio should have catered to the particular field or course you were applying to. I hope the SOPs, of course, might be catering to the particular application, of course. And SOPs have the most heavy material is the SOP. If the SOP is good, then they are already halfway through. Other things supports the portfolio itself, and yeah, rest of the thing. But I'll say the portfolio should cater. Right now, it's ready. If it's not catering, use your pages of the portfolio. Think, how do I relate this back to my field when the interview is going on? I would say brainstorm on that and be ready.
Right. So very well said, Madhusudan.
I would like to add one more small point. So don't blabber around what you are trying to say. Find your jargon, find your keywords, and just be concise and to the point. The faculties do not like when you're blabbing around and you can't find the point that you're making. So yeah, be able to make your point in as small sentences as you can.
Thank you, Niharika. I would also just like to add to what Niharika said. Probably you could have had some experience, let's say in urban design, you worked with some firm who's working on urban design and learned a few things. Don't go in front of them and start using these urban design terms just to impress, because it's like you are landing yourself into problem, because they have much more experience and they will immediately understand what you are trying to do. So of course, when they talk about these words, you also, where it's necessary, do use it, but don't go and try to show off, or like she said, find your main keywords and avoid jargons also. So I think let's move on to our questions. Um I would request candidate students to put in your questions in the chat box. We'll start with Goresh. Can we show our internship work of the undergraduation in the portfolio? So I think yes, that along with what you've done in the 5-year course, the important projects, etc. Most of you said things about people with experience, but about final year students, we are still doing our thesis. Okay, so how do thesis candidates who are still appearing for their thesis handle this situation with respect to the interview? Or would that be something different? Anybody would like to answer this?
I'll take that. Means I had a lot of experience, but one thing for sure is the faculties want diversity in the class, so they will generally take some who are really fresh, some a little bit experienced, so that people within the class can depend on each other. Okay, so during the interview, don't worry whether you have experience or not. What matters is whatever you have in your graduation course, especially your thesis, along with all other experiences, how well you cater it towards this field. How, even if it is not very related, but still what you pick out from that will be essential as a skill set, as a documentation skill set, as a software skill set, as principles, understanding consciousness, understanding sustainability, understanding how to conserve things, or whatever it might be which relates to your course. Find how your portfolio is able to teach you principles of that field. It might not be related, but it did teach you some skills, because architecture was meant to give you essential fundamental skills about all of these subjects together. That's what they want to see, how everything is related. So don't worry if you don't have enough experience, but there is a section of group of students they'll still want who are really fresh, because they want to encourage admissions through all parameters. If they stop selecting, then from next year no people will stop applying also from that category. So don't worry about that. But yeah, while speaking, tap onto your experiences, the subject especially that you learn. Like if it's like any field, urban design, then whatever you learned in urban design related subjects, town planning, regional planning related subjects in your DArch course, or smart city project if you worked on any. If it's conservation, then history of architecture you learned for so many semesters. You documented buildings so many times. You learned traditional building construction techniques and building technology and material subjects. So there are a lot of things that you've already studied and skills that you've developed. Have confidence in them. And talk about that point through your portfolio. That would help you rather than being worried ki nothing is relating to the course I've applied to. Because if you have studied architecture and you have cleared it, means you are already eligible for this course. You need to remember that. It's just that whether you'll get selected or not. If eligibility is there, you need to tap why you are eligible right now and where is the skill that lies.
Thank you, Madhusudan. Very well said. That tapping into it is what is important at this point. We'll go to the next question. Maybe Harish, you could answer this better. Uh, can
Yes.
you discuss something or the interview process or highlight about the interview for civil engineering background students for BEM? If you have any
Uh,
idea.
so in BM, so being an architect myself, I know the questions that can come as an architect. But for civil engineers, yes, we do have our own faculties who have done masters and their own PhDs. And they are civil engineers themselves, and there are visiting faculties too who are civil engineers for who will be coming for us. So on the interview, I'm not sure exactly about the technical questions they might be asked, but one thing for sure is be thorough about your basics, because the expectation from these faculties is more towards your basic knowledge, and if you know everything related to your theory, and if you do have experiences, they will really want to know how you have gone about a project, what was your thought process for it, how well you have actually managed the site. Since BM is more of a management course, it's more about how you manage yourself and the project together. So managing a project, it can be related to anything. For civil engineers, it would mostly be from the uh, cite the materials related to it. So it is almost something like this. Architects itself, if you are freshers, you don't have to worry too much. The questions will can be based on what is your key project in your portfolio. So if you want to show your internship portfolio, yes, you can. But the major things that you will want to talk about is what is your major understanding from that. So one of the important thing about being in BEM is how crucially you're able to criticize a plan or a detail that you're shown at. Because managing something comes with actively criticizing any kind of detail and trying to improve it at every point. So that is something that you should be good enough at or try to come up with.
Okay, thank you, Harish. So I think Bikram, I hope your question is answered. The next one, any one of you, if you have any idea regarding the interviews for transportation planning, would you like to share anything if you have any idea? Anyone? I think the basic would be the same. Probably the technical aspect is something that would change a bit. We'll move on to the next question by Apeksha. What if we've applied for more than one course and we are asked the same question? How do we handle it positively? I think it's probably the question as to why this course and why not that one, or why have you applied for that course if you were interested in this course? Maybe I think that would be more of it. But anyone would like to answer this?
Okay, so one safe answer, which can be politically correct, is I'm more interested in this to study in this college more than any degree. You have your interest in various fields, but if I'm able to go in detail about any one field, I'd like to go about study in this college. That's what you can answer.
But I would just add on to that, being safe side, because that can sometimes backfire also. Okay. So I'll say find common points that can establish in between. See, generally like urban planning, regional planning, the planning fields, okay, and all of them have several common points that you can sit on. Okay, I want to learn this, but I'm not really sure whether which course exactly caters, because all of them somehow or the other teach at that scale. It's only sometimes a matter of large terms of scales, because like design fields, and see, environment planning, landscape architecture, they have several points in that you can establish in common themes. Okay, but what is up to you is whatever courses you have applied to, try to establish at least some kind of common points in between them, because if it has all gone directly, even if it is all blind choices, you want to come to SPA. But as Vikas said, it might help if the faculty is or the interview is more free or something like that. But I'll suggest try to establish common points in between that, sir. Okay, this is taught a little bit in this also and this also. I'm confused where exactly I learn in more detail, because the syllabus has several common, modules that are there in multiple fields. So you might find a safe space while saying the both of them have this, and I want to learn. So I'm choosing both. Like you can go with common points also.
I think being more politically correct is something that would really help you and be on the safer side. So yes, please do your bit of research and prepare your answer well. You still have time. We'll move on to the next question. Sharan, this one is for you from Adarsh. Hi Sharan, thank you for your time. My question is, could you tell me a little more about the urban design faculty? What they are like, just some general insight into getting comfortable. I will also do my own research too. Thanks.
Hi, others. Most of the things that you should know initially or prerequisites you'll get to know through your secondary research. One thing is, see, all the permanent faculties are like very experienced. It's like at least 20-25 years they have already been in field. So you may feel that the people of such stature, you may feel that they may not be so much approachable in the initial stage. Okay, but this is a quality of all the faculties at SPA. They are very much approachable, even if you go to them with a very small issue, which may be not a small issue for us, but a small problem for us, but for them it may they would entertain you. They are always there to help you. It's never the case that they try to solve it uh, through some junior faculties or something. They are very much approachable. All of them are very generous. So this is and friendly. So this is only I would like to say. You get all other information from the website initially, and then through other portals. Yeah.
Okay, Adarsh, I hope you've got your answer. We have questions regarding regional planning and landscape. So I think since we don't have candidates right now, but what I would say is the basic general things are the same in all departments. Where the difference lies would be the technical aspects or why landscape, why regional planning. So that research is something you should be very well prepared with once when you're going. But rest questions related to your interview, where are you from, your background, all of that are going to be the same. uh, we'll move on to the next one. Niharika, this one is for you. What was your call on the question? Why do you want to do this course, being from architecture background?
So for me personally, you can answer this in the way that in architecture you have a lot of electives like bamboo design, vastu, or some other furniture design, interior design that you may have in your courses. So you can approach this question in a way that while I was doing all of that, I found my niche in a way that I am more interested in smaller designs, product design, or I'm more interested in graphic design where you present your sheets and PPTs in a way, and I found my niche there, and that's why I want to pursue a product now rather than buildings and like those greater stuff that is in architecture. So maybe you can approach this in this way. The basic crux of all of this is architecture is a quite big field, and nitty gritties are often overlooked in architecture. Like if your door handle is of a particular size, no one will judge you on the basis of that, because ultimately it comes to the product designer to actually design the handle. So maybe you can say that while I was actually designing a particular building, I was more interested in how the handle looks of a door. And yeah, basically, like from the bigger perspective, you are more interested in the smaller perspective and how those things look.
Thank you, Niharika. I would also suggest that whatever terms or anything that she's used, or whatever you are going to talk for your answer in terms of what does industrial design comprise of, be thorough with that in terms of graphic design, other aspects of design, because there could be a possibility of your next 2 3 questions coming from this answer. So be thorough with that. I think the same question is for planning. Why do you want to, if you've done your graduation in architecture, now why do you want to pursue planning? So, Vishwas, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, the same question actually is here. So I didn't know about planning. I wanted to know about planning, and I want to increase my knowledge horizon. This was my answer, honestly.
Okay. So that's a pretty short, simple, and honest answer. So I think that would help.
They look for honesty also.
Yes.
You can't just tell any generalized thing there.
Yes.
Like, if I know a little about planning, which I only find very little, I can't tell that.
Right.
That's why.
Okay. Um, Regarding the order of documents, please look up their website. They've already mentioned it in the advertisement. We have a student who has their final jury on 19th and the interview for SBA Delhi also on the same day. What should I do? I think probably go for the jury, because without clearing the jury, you can't get into SPA, right? So yeah, I think that would be a easier thing to do. Or
Ma'am, I
probably
remember I don't exactly know the details, but they have made some kind of arrangement, because this scenario was there last year also. And you should probably speak or contact the department. They'll guide you properly regarding that, because it's not like you can't apply, because of course they know what the
Yes.
situation will be and they'll be aware that when the jury is. But then you need to, but I guess that's a very late. It's a very late time to ask this question now, because all the process should, you would have known the jury dates much earlier. You should have done, the letter process of sending an application from your college to the, right department here, getting permission from here, whether you can come one day late to the interview, because interview will be for 2 days, or maximum if it does not finish towards the third day. So you can still reach for the third day, and be for the interview. You can handle both. But I guess the process should already have been finished by now for that scenario, because they have made certain arrangements for cases like that.
Yeah. So maybe you could still give it a try.
Yeah.
Also, I remembered one point from what Madhusudan said, that in case if your interview scheduled on 15th or let's say 16th, please don't book your ticket, return ticket on 16th or 17th itself, is 17th morning. Because usually what happens, in case there is a delay, you will be called the next day if it doesn't happen on that day. So keep that buffer also to be on a safer side. This happens every year, as much as I know. So yes, please keep that in mind. We have another question. Can we add any other portfolio, for example, photography, which is not allied to the course? So I think maybe yes, because that would also count as a part of your extracurricular. And of course, there would be questions depending upon the departments regarding that as well. Any of you would like to add to that?
Yeah, I'd like to add. So, if you have worked on any other thing apart from architecture, like I was a freelancer as a virtual assistant, so I didn't put that in my resume or in portfolio. But when they asked about myself, I included that point also when I was explaining about myself. So that gave another point which they can ask question on, and you're confident to answer about it. So yeah, you can talk anything you're interested in, even if it's not in your portfolio. And if you put that in your portfolio, it's a plus point.
Okay. Thank you, Vishwas. Jamal, could you just clarify your question? I think it's left incomplete, but I'll just read the start. That is, I come from an architectural background and wanted to do masters in industrial design. After 4 years of experience of freelancing corporates. So I think experience would be helpful. Niharika, what is your take on industrial design experience?
Experience does not matter. I myself have 3 years of experience in a corporate field after I've completed my bachelor's in architecture. So they understand you do not know anything about product design. Obviously, basic knowledge you should have, basic knowledge that you can get from the internet or somewhere else. That you should have. What is product design? What is UX UI? What are your prospects? And what are you actually looking for in the course? But that is what you're coming here to study, right? The product design. So they do not expect you to know everything and in very detailed, in-depth knowledge about product design or industrial design. So that's completely fine. And as Madhusudan said, they are finding people from diverse backgrounds. So you have experience or you do not have experience does not matter that much. The thing that actually matters is how you present yourself there and how eager you are to learn. And if you're able to present that or put your point across to them that this is what I want to do from now on and this is what I'm eager to learn, I think they are appreciative of that.
Thank you, Niharika. In case if anyone has any other question, please do ask, or we can end with the session. So just to conclude, I think summing up what all of you said, that your attitude is something that is more important. Not panicking, having the right mindset, being well dressed, going there with confidence, body language, temperament, And yes, quality over quantity, and most importantly, not bluffing or being fake or trying to pretend that I know everything. So let's avoid that. And yes, wishing all of you all the best. In case of any issues, I think you will meet a few of them tomorrow if you get to. So, and I would also like to thank all of you, Sharan, Vishwas, Madhusudan, Niharika, Vijay, and Harish, for taking out time. I can understand a lot of submissions and pressure, but thank you for taking out that time and joining us today.
You're
Uh,
most welcome.
yes.
I'd like to wish everyone all the best. Uh, think that you're already an SPA student and you're talking to a professor. You will get interested.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Trikurti, I think spiral binding, the binding does not matter. It's what work is on the sheets would be more focused upon. So don't worry about what kind of binding, what quality of paper or anything. Yes. So thank you, everyone, and wish you all the best. Thank you to all you guys for joining us on such a short notice. So thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Best of luck to everybody. See you tomorrow, probably.
All the
Yeah.
best to everyone.
All the best to everyone. So let's catch up tomorrow.